so it's just me for a second because I wanted to show you how I finish a jersey quilt, just like this one, how I finish it with some batting inside. So this is very, very cozy. It has wool batting. So we had our top layer of jersey, we have a layer of wool batting, and then we have a bottom layer of jersey. And if you can see this side right here, I haven't trimmed it. So I have about 4 inches of excess wool batting just hanging out here, and then my jersey batting also hanging out here. So I'm gonna rotate this over, and I'm gonna show you how I finished it. So I peeled back, it's a little bit sticky because I use spray-based. I peeled back the backing. So just that top the top two layers is showing. And then I took my ruler and rotary cutter. If you don't have that, you can take your scissors. I lined it up and I cut just like that. Okay, I want to show you something because I can get a little bit fast and furious with my cutting, and sometimes I don't think about what I'm doing and I just get really excited. And if you're at all like me and you make a mistake, I'm going to show you it's very easy to fix it because jersey is very forgiving. So I was zipping along, cutting my top 2 layers, thinking, oh, I'm good. My back layer is nicely tucked under. Well, it wasn't. So I ended up cutting a big hole in my back layer too. So all I did was I mashed the 2 layers together like I was telling you previously, and I did a regular running stitch. And I'm going to show you a close-up of this as I'm talking. So I did a regular running stitch of these layers so that it, you can tell it's not perfect, but I think it adds to the hominess. I think it kind of adds a personal touch, personal effect, adds more texture. You can always say that. So let me just show you in action how I cut these top 2 layers. So as much as possible, I want to cut away from myself. I'm going to, you can see it's a little bit sticky because I have that spray base that I used for this because I didn't want to be dodging pin basting while I was sewing. So I'm double checking everything that I have this bottom layer nicely tucked away. Just have my top 2 layers. I'm going to take my ruler, my rotary cutter, I'm going to square it up as much as possible. And I'm just going to slice off that batting right there. Okay, I'm going to peel back my back layer. You can see it's still really big. I want that to overhang a 1/2 inch, just like the pattern says. So do you see right here how this overhangs a 1/2 inch? That's so we can nicely fold it over and have a cool what do you call it? Binding. Batting, binding, basting. There's a lot of bees happening in my head. It's like these bees bzzz, floating around. So sometimes I don't know my bee words. Okay, so I'm going to, instead of doing this, which is what I did before because I wasn't thinking, I'm going to line up the 1/2 inch line on my ruler with the edge of my quilt. And I'm going to make another cut now. So look at that. So this is what it's supposed to look like in the end. And you're already probably thinking, ooh, that corner looks tricky. How's she going to do that corner? Well, I'm going to show you how I do all of the stitching when we hop back in with lace and do the whole cloth quilt, because it's the exact same technique of binding the whole cloth quilt, binding this quilt that uses batting. So we'll be right back with that. Yeah? Okay, the 2 of us are back. Apologies for the darkness. It's been thunderstorming all morning, so if you hear a crack of thunder or lightning, I'm not a meteorologist. I don't know which one makes noise. I think it's the lightning. Apologies. Anyway, this whole cloth quilt is 95% finished. We just have to do the binding. Okay, ladies, tell us about your experience. How much did you obviously love this quilt?
I love it. It's been great. It's like, I feel like I'll have to make another one after this because I just really enjoyed it. I never thought I would enjoy sewing, but I'm hooked.
Look at that.
Yeah.
And you were telling me, you were texting me the other day and you said that you were quilting in the car waiting for your daughter?
Yes. So I had to finish this so we could keep filming, and we didn't have much time, but it was actually not waiting for my daughter. I had to exchange something at Old Navy, so I was sewing in the car in the parking lot because I got there early, so the store wasn't open yet. So
adorable.
yeah.
And so I'm taking off some basting pins while you were talking, just because at this point we can take those off.
Oh.
Because we no longer need the quilt to be basted because it's now basted through your stitches.
Yes.
Oh, and I also want to show. So this is Lace's little baggie. Her sewing kit, very cute. And you added a gadget to your sewing kit. I don't know if I can recommend this, but it
pliers.
It worked for Lace.
My hands are too sweaty, so I couldn't pull the needle through the fabric. So through all the only 2 layers, 3 layers sometimes when doing the reverse applique. I'm talking like I know everything about
You do know everything.
But yeah, this was really helpful. I don't know if it's ideal, but it worked for me.
If you have sweaty hands, it's a good option. One thing we discussed too, I was recommending these gold eye embroidery needles, and it's because we use some pretty thick thread. So we use number 8 thread, and it's more of a yarn-like thread. So what she was probably struggling with to get through the jersey was the eye of the needle, because the eye of embroidery needles is a little bit wider than just a regular sharp or a between, which quilters might use, because our thread is a little bit thicker. So if you opt to use a thinner thread, you can opt to use a smaller eyed needle, which then maybe you won't need pliers.
Yeah, maybe.
The goal is to not need pliers.
Yes, so no pliers, okay?
No pliers, but I love that this is the only sewing kit you need to make this whole cloth quilt.
Yeah.
It's very portable, you can throw it in your purse.
Yeah.
Alright, so let's just take a couple of these basting pins just so we can, get started on our binding at the very end. The end is near. What are you going to do with this blanket? I guess I can call it a blanket because it kind of is.
I'm still thinking. I'm not sure. I wish you could put it, I almost I'm almost changing my daughter's room entirely so I can use it.
Oh.
Probably shouldn't. I'm still
Alicia.
thinking. I'm still not sure.
But you're going to keep it.
Oh, absolutely. I'm not going to give this to anybody. Just because it's the first one.
That's right, that's right. I gave away my first quilt.
Oh, you did?
Yeah, I was
Maybe I
15. And I gave it to my boyfriend.
Oh, do you regret it?
I don't regret it because, at 15 it's really hard to have like a messy breakup, and so when we broke up we were still friends.
Oh, that's great.
But the lady who taught me how to quilt was like, are you sure? Are you sure you want to give it to your boyfriend? Are you sure?
And you're kind of like telling me now, like, are you sure? But when I mentioned giving this to
Give it
somebody,
away,
I'm like, oh, keep it, it's your first one.
Keep it. Okay, so like we discussed with the wool batting with the 3-layered jersey quilt, like you can see in the pattern, all we're going to do is peel back the back layer, and we're going to trim the top layer a 1/2 inch. So we can either take scissors and eyeball it. Honestly, you can literally just eyeball it. You don't have to measure this. We just want the top layer to be a little bit shorter than the bottom layer so it's easier to flip through. And it's mostly so it's easier to stitch, because the main reason you needed pliers is when you were doing the applique and you had 3 layers, yes?
Yes.
So if we didn't cut away that top layer and we folded it, you would be sewing through 4 layers.
Oh.
So you'd need even heavier pliers.
Yeah, it was definitely okay with the 2 layers, way easier. Yeah.
Yeah, that it is. It's kind of like butter, isn't it? Where you're just like, no big deal. Okay, so if you have your scissors, remember, that's totally fine. You don't need special tools to do this. Be sure you're peeling back that back layer to give yourself some space. You're a righty, yes? You're a right-hander.
Oh, yes, I am, yeah.
Okay, so that people can actually see, let's do this correctly, because this is an instructional video, so I won't do it incorrectly. We're gonna do it all the way over here, because you're a righty. Did I? Oh, I'm sorry. Oh, is your eye watering? I'm sorry.
Okay.
Okay, all right. So I'm gonna have you peel this back. I'm gonna have you do it, because sometimes I get sticky fingers and I'm like, I want to touch. Yep, so peel the top layer back.
Oh.
Okay, now wait. Put the bottom layer underneath. Yes. just like that.
Make sure you don't cut the bottom layer like Susie did.
Like
was it?
Yeah, that's what I did.
Yeah. Don't be an amateur like Susie.
Don't be a huge loser like Susie. No. Okay, oh wait. So I'm actually going to be using, you can use your cutting mat to measure this. We're going to flip it because it takes me a second to register what's going on. Okay, you're going to use your, okay, I'm having you flip this because I want you to use the markings on your ruler. So that's how I'm going to have you do it. So maybe we'll edit this so it doesn't look like I made that mistake 3 times. Okay, here we go. We're all prepped. Okay, so using the 1/2 inch mark on your ruler.
Okay.
And jersey is going to curl on you a little bit. It just will. So if you would rather use scissors, you can use scissors. Again, like we said, this is not exact science. You're not like performing surgery on a kidney. So you're just trimming away some of the jersey so that it's easier to sew when you fold it over for binding.
Okay.
Easy peasy.
Kind of like this? And then
Just like that. Would you rather use scissors? That'd be easier.
That looks easier to me. I don't know. But
it's pretty cool.
I don't know. I mean, not that I actually know how this works.
Oh yeah, we've never done a lesson in
I thought I was
cutting.
just going to.
Oh, yeah, it's like a pizza cutter.
Oh, okay.
This is curling quite a bit though, isn't it?
Yeah, that's.
Well, we'll just do it a little bit at a time, won't we?
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
You could also use a marking tool and just mark a 1/2 inch along the edge and then use scissors and cut, cut, cut. Okay, just go for it.
Just like this?
Oh, there's a safety on it.
But
Oh, you got it. Okay.
Yeah. Oh, Susie.
It doesn't sound like you're doing.
Does it have to be harder? I've never used these, so.
Yeah. Gotta
Okay.
Put your back into it, but don't cut your finger off. Okay.
Okay.
Let's do this. There you go.
Now
That's my girl.
Woohoo.
Nice. Okay, so for the video, we're now just gonna show. Okay, what did that do? Oh look, ta-da! So we're in a good spot. We are going to trim the rest of the quilt and then come right back. So we've cut the perimeter of this top layer of jersey so that it's about a 1/2 inch, roughly a 1/2 inch, smaller than the backing jersey. And all that's left to do is fold that backing jersey over and sew a running stitch so that we have a nice finished edge. So I'm going to take my thread and I'm going to just go in, do you see that? Just like that with my needle. And just start sewing my sweet little running stitch. Nothing fancy, just securing it down. And you can practice different embroidery stitches too. It doesn't have to be a running stitch. You know, if you want to practice cross stitch or a chain stitch or feather stitch, I mean, the list goes on. You can just, you know, practice whatever feels right to you. I'm just matching this to my applique pieces because I thought that would look nice. Actually, this is Lace's quilt. I'm just showing you an example of what to do. And so that is what your finished binding will look like. Easy peasy. Oh, but you know what? Let me show you how to do a corner because those corners can be a little bit tricky. Just gonna snip this. And I'm not even gonna tie a knot because I'm just gonna keep going with this. So let's say I'm going around my corner. Let's say I'm sewing around my corner. Everything is looking awesome, like of course it would. Okay, so now I'm at the corner and it's like, oh, this is tricky. What do I do? What do I do? Well, it's just a little bit of, because I want it to be that mitered edge. You could do this, you know, there's nothing wrong with that, but I like a mitered corner. So I'm going to make sure that it is kind of folded in a couple times and then meets. And if your fabric is different lengths on each side, you can kind of mash it because again, jersey is really flexible. So do you see that? Kind of just folded it so we get that mitered corner. And if you have a pin, you might need to pin that in place. But I'm just gonna keep trucking away, keep sewing on through. Look at that. That's how nice your corner can look. This has been the Bohemian Garden Quilt Pattern. You can find the PDF at susiequilts.com. I'll link to it below. Also, if you have any questions at all, don't hesitate to ask. If you have questions about supplies, technique, where to get fabric, just ask away. Lais will be answering all of your questions because she's a pro now.
All right.
I hope you enjoyed this and happy sewing.